This course is designed to teach you to use the tools from microeconomics to solve novel problems, a skill useful for managers, policymakers, lawyers, marketers, finance professionals, good citizens, etc. One example question is, do price match guarantees end up raising or lowering market prices? The answer determines whether they benefit consumers or whether they benefit firms. Another example is whether the introduction of Uber raised or lowered drivers' wages. Often, the answer is not obvious, and sometimes it ends up being the opposite of what one would conclude using simplistic thinking, the kind of thinking one would typically have before taking this course. To answer these questions, we will typically figure out what happens in a market when participants, who we will refer to as economic agents, act rationally. By rationally, we mean that each agent makes choices to maximize their own selfish interests. For example, rational firms maximize profits, and rational consumers maximize their happiness or utility. We may not directly care about maximizing their objective, but doing so helps us determine overall outcomes in the market. What makes these questions interesting is scarcity. Because of limited resources and budgets, decisions involve trade-offs. Does a consumer buy a more expensive car, or a more expensive phone, or save for something else? Most consumers, well, apart from Jeff Bezos of the world, can't have more of everything. They are limited by the amount of their income and their savings. Firms likewise face many such trade-offs. We will often compare outcomes under different strategies. For example, do firms earn higher profits with price match guarantees? Does it raise profits to offer each consumer a different targeted price? In each scenario, we will assume that the firm acts rationally given the strategy. That is, we will assume that when the firm sets the same price for everyone, that they choose the price that yields the highest profit. By doing so, we can precisely determine the impact of the strategy on the outcome of interest. This course proceeds in several sections. The first two sets of lectures use graphical analyses to understand market equilibrium, consumer and producer welfare, and the impacts of government interventions like minimum wages, which determine a minimum allowable price for labor. The fourth lecture introduces some basic calculus skills needed for many of the remaining topics. Don't worry, if you can't remember calculus well, I explain exactly what steps you need. I won't explain every remaining topic now. You can browse the sections below if you wish. Welcome.